It's the Fellowship of the Geek Show, a weekly podcast about comics, the comic book industry, and other geek pop culture. Music courtesy of Manny the Martyr. And now, on with the show!
Hey there, everybody. It's the Fellowship of the Geeks podcast. My name is Thomas Chick, and joining me for this episode is Mike Marlowe.
Hey, gang.
Les Webster.
Hello, all.
And Liz Newman.
Hello, everybody.
How are you guys doing?
Doing well.
Yeah.
Hope everybody out there is doing okay. So what's been going on in your corner of the galaxy?
Well, I haven't been doing a lot. I've watched a lot of TV here lately, though, and sleeping.
So the TV's watching you?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
No, we don't have smart TVs, just dumb TVs around here, you know.
That's what they want you to believe.
Right.
Your TV is a stage 5 dumbass.
It is. Now, I finally got to watch the rest of Peacemaker. I finally said, screw it, I'm not waiting on Phil. I'm going to finish this because I wanted to know how it ended. And I'm so glad I did.
Because now you can hold it over his head.
So I told him, I said, you really have to finish this because I'm going to have to tell you what happens if you don't, you know. But I liked it. I think that, I don't know, I'm kind of torn sometimes with how DC makes decisions because, right?
No.
I promise this isn't getting into a rant. Some of their movies have been like really hit and miss, and you know I've said that since I've joined the podcast. I really think that their animation department like really kicks ass, and that they needed to catch up with it. You know, I felt like they let the reins loose a little bit more on their animation than they did with their movies. You know, now we've hit into this era where we've gone past the superhero movies, and now we're into superhero TV shows. I'm not complaining. I'm really not complaining. You know, I am not a gatekeeper of my genre. It thrills me to death that so many people got into comics because look at where we're at now. You know, I can turn on the TV at any God-given time and I can find a superhero TV show that I want to watch. You know, you couldn't do that before. But I think what we're seeing again, and we're also seeing this a little bit out of Marvel, is they're kind of letting the reins loose and saying, you do what you think is best. And when they tore James Gunn loose on Suicide Squad, the movie, wow. And then now with this TV show, they really threw the book out because of what I really think with the success that he had with Suicide Squad, they're like, we don't even care. Just, we'll sign the checks and you do what you need to do, you know. And what he made was, it was funny, it was gross, it was awesome. I mean, it was, there was just parts that you didn't want to watch, but you weren't going to turn away because I didn't want to miss anything, you know. But when you break down the storyline, it sounds so stupid. This should not have worked. They're hunting down butterflies. It's like a cross between a butterfly and a really big moth. You know? But they enter through your mouth and they take over the brain. So of course the host dies immediately, you know, and the butterfly takes over and, you know, lives the life of whoever it took over. So of course this task force is going after the butterfly people. So like I said, it shouldn't have worked, right? Because you guys are already going butterfly people. but it worked. And after a while, you even sympathized with some of the butterflies, But yeah, I liked it. I really did. I think they need to lighten up with their movies the way that they've done with some of their streaming shows. And I think we'll start seeing,
Success?
something better. Yeah. I mean, although last movie DC put out was what? Batman. Batman did really good. Suicide Squad did really good. We won't even talk about the ZS period in DC. But before that, it like I said, it was kind of hit or miss. But and now their animation, the last couple of ones I've watched, it's been good, but it's nothing like their older stuff. And I know creative teams, you're always getting turnover and you get new people in, but it was like there for a while, early 2000s, they had lightning in a bottle and they kept using it, but not on their movies. Like I said, I think we'll start seeing DC pull the stick out of their ass, and maybe we'll get some better movies because they're not so concerned about, we can't do this because this is this way, and just let your creators, they know what they're doing. You hired them for a reason,
So when exactly was it that Andre Romano retired?
Just a couple of years ago, yeah.
I wonder if it coincides with the time that Liz thinks that animation took a nosedive.
Probably so.
She ran it for a while.
Yeah. And like with what we was getting there for a while out of the DC animation department is really what I was hoping and praying they would do with the Black Label. Because some of this was, it was pretty gruesome. And with all of the movies DC has put out, we've never touched that potential that some of these, main one that's popping in my head right now is Assault on Arkham. That's what they should have done the Suicide Squad movie as. I mean, it was freaking amazing. By the time Batman showed up in that storyline, you're like, oh man, go away. Let them do their thing. Let them finish, And it takes a lot to put your audience on the other side with your villains and cheering them on, And they did it, and they did it beautifully, I also liked the Son of Batman. That was a pretty good one because they took a character that everybody hated. I don't know. I don't think Batman will ever have a son that anybody will ever like, whether it be sidekick or was drugged and didn't know about him for years later. That nobody will ever be happy with a Batman son. But I really enjoyed that. I like Damian. I don't, and this is where it's going to get weird. I don't know if I like comic Damian as much as I liked animated Damian. The same thing with Nightwing. I don't like comic Nightwing as much as I do the animated Nightwing. And then you got into Injustice, and God, that was brutal. And it was really weird because it was a storyline that happened in DC, but in the movies, with the exception, well, I'm not talking about Marvel, but in DC movies, we don't see a lot of our heroes die, So when Injustice came out, it was kind of like, whoa, they're killing everyone, But the comic was the same way. So I really hope that with the TVs, they've done good with Arrow and Flash. Arrow didn't last as long, but, I think that they should take a cue from Netflix. Maybe not have a series that's 13 seasons long, but give your fans one or two. And that's all you have planned, one or two. That way, by the end of it, you haven't totally killed a character for us and made us hate them. Oliver. But, you've given us a little taste, a little story, Nothing says your show has to be on TV for years for it to be good, you know? So that's my 2 cents on what's wrong with DC right now. I should have said this is my TED Talk.
Second verse, same as the first.
But I'm really hoping that, you know, DC gets it together. Hopefully.
Well,
but,
let's see what happens with everything that's going on with the acquisitions and all that. So.
Right. Well, hopefully Discovery pays attention to what's been going on here. Because you just had Batman, who came out and had, billion-dollar success at the box office. What is one thing that Matt did that none of the others boasted about doing? He went to the material. That was his source, was the material. So,
He also
and
forgot
what
to
did
turn
we
on
get?
the lights, but whatever.
Right. But we got an amazing movie because you had a guy who actually cared about the source. It wasn't just a movie and these are guys, you know, I'm playing with my action figures here, you know, which is what they've been giving us for the last 4 years. So, I don't know. Maybe that'll be, maybe if we use this material that some of the greats has already laid out for us, we'll have some success at the movies too.
Right. The work has
Well,
already been done in that regard, right?
The story's been thought and done. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to come to the defense of one person because he always went to the source material, and that's James Gunn.
Yes.
He always went to the source material.
Yep. And look at his movies.
She started off praising him, so.
Well, I understand, but
she's also wandered off from that.
She just said that he's the only one in the last several years, and I want to beg to differ that James Gunn. I mean, James Gunn gave us Starro, and actually made it work. So I mean,
he did, which was the same thing. We get something like Starro in Peacemaker, and it was like, holy cow! Was you expecting that, Les, when you heard cow?
I am pleased, but go ahead.
I mean, I was very pleased, but that wasn't a cow. It was like a giant caterpillar with alopecia or something, with a fever tooth. So, I mean, James Gunn, even what he did for Marvel, everything he touched over there was box office success. So I think when DC hired him and said, okay, for one thing, let's really piss Marvel off because they let him go there for a while. Do a movie for us. They'll hire you back if you do a movie for us.
Well,
which is what happens.
Well, not necessarily, but we don't want to get
right
because that was.
Yeah.
You know,
but I think when they brought him over, it was pretty much do your thing. You know what you're doing. Do we really have to tell you what you need to do? You know? And what we got was, wow. At the end of Suicide, I hated Peacemaker. I thought he was the most annoying character that they could have put in Suicide Squad. I was so upset that he walked out of that alive. I mean, that's how bad he made you hate this guy. And then he turns around and puts a TV series with this guy that you're supposed to hate so much. By the end of the series, I like him. He's funny, and I understand his dark humor and why he is the way he is. You know, I still don't agree with his actions in Suicide Squad, but, you know, we get to see that glimpse of why he's a douchebag. And it was like, wow. I'd be a douchebag too, you know. So.
Well, that just offset the holy cow.
Right.
I think it also gave us a potential title for the week.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty good. If you haven't watched it yet, if you were like me and was waiting on someone to finish it, really check it out because it is one of the better DC series I've seen in a while. I'm like really excited for season 2. But one other major disappointment, The Boys season 3 came out. I have not watched the 3rd episode. I'm waiting on Brandon. But the first 2 episodes, absolutely no Jensen yet. God, I I mean, they keep like showing him and saying his name and everything else, and it's like, where is he? I don't care about this guy. Where's Jensen? So I'm hoping that he's in this third episode, because right now in the show where I'm at, they're kind of like me, and we're all looking for him. Where is he? So, but apparently he's had to do a lot of apologizing for this role. And I won't go into how much fandoms really suck, but if you're using a TV set to create role models for your children, you're doing it wrong. You're totally doing it wrong. That's my PSA. And if you have a child that is that impressionable and you're letting them watch The Boys, get the fuck out of here. I mean, you get everything you ask for, because that's pretty freaking stupid. The maker of the show will even tell you that's pretty freaking stupid. This isn't made for kids. This isn't made for role models for kids. This is strictly adult humor, adult entertainment, and they don't disappoint on those two. But I'm really hoping, like I said, 2 episodes in, I'm really hoping it'll pick up some steam, maybe when Jensen gets on there. But I do feel like this will be the season. Now, like I said, this is before I've seen Jensen so far. This may be the season that everybody's kind of like, meh, So they'll have to come back even harder with season 4. But like I said, I'm just assuming we're only 3 episodes in, so a lot can happen. But I feel, as of yet, they're taking the cheap shots that they can. Sex, blood, violence, That's
Yay.
good. Yay. Like I said, I have no
Trinity.
problems with those, right? But get with the story, They're setting it up, and it's like, come on. This should have been what they're making the 3 episodes should have been the first episode. You drug it out, which is so different than the other seasons where it was like, bam, 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 bam. Drive into a well, But, so, yeah. I mean, I guess the Shrinko guy and the guy's penis was kind of cool, but cheap thrill. Get on with the story. Yeah. Maybe I'll have more to report next week.
God, I hope so.
Mikey.
I can't beat that. I'm sorry. There's just no way.
You can't beat the man in a penis?
Absolutely not. Not with a big stick. This was a short week, man. I didn't have time to do nothing.
I suppose a short week.
I was hoping Liz would go on for a while, because I don't actually have anything to report, really. I was trying like hell to have a quiet weekend. And, I mean, Jesus, we just recorded a couple of days ago, so I say that it was 5, but that's not the point. The point is I'm whining here.
Who's counting?
Right.
Not me.
So, yeah, I mean, I haven't really even had a chance to watch anything. So, meh.
Okay, Les.
Well, I'm going to go with Liz. Peacemaker is a fun show. I enjoyed this because it took a character, a very obscure character, and gave him an opening. I thought the premise was phenomenal. The idea of being occupied by an alien life form just made me think this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
And by God, it was. I know there was no Jensen in it, but we can get around that too.
Maybe next time. Now, the guy.
Don't overwork the man.
His friend in the TV show, Vigilante, is he in the comic books or anything, or is he just?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was.
Them two together is what made that show. Because they're like so out of touch and have no feeling.
Well, they're the two that don't understand what the hell's going on around them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I think it really works. You got to have somebody that's a total idiot, and you look at those two and you can flip a coin.
Yeah. They got the job done, yeah.
Yeah. But they are so devoted to each other, although you would question that at times.
Yeah.
But the idea of having father as, sorry folks, spoilers, but have father as a villain.
Yeah.
But he is the one that created Peacemaker's outfit and trained him, things like that.
Which that was sad.
No.
When you find out how he killed his little brother or his older brother and everything, that was sad. It was like he trained him to be a piece of shit, careless, not care about anything, and so it was kind of nice to see that growth from Suicide Squad to where he ended the show at. But you could totally understand why he was that way when you met his dad.
His dad was despicable,
mm-hmm.
which I thought lent to the story a lot. I'm going to agree with Liz also. If you get the chance, have a sit down and watch this, because it is most entertaining.
Yes. And the best part is the opening credits. Do not fast forward through it.
No, that's true.
You'll be dancing like that all day long.
Well, that's not true either, but
It's always like, what are you doing?
I don't know about you, Mikey, but weird images just popped in my mind.
Yeah, kind of.
The shot of the Justice League showing up was great.
Yes. You late assholes.
And these are, that was the two actors from Aquaman
mm-hmm.
and from The Flash.
Or Jason Momoa and
movie
Ezra.
Flash.
The Wonder Woman, they could have did a little better, but he was good about keeping her off in the shadows so you didn't realize it wasn't Gal Gadot, They could have made her a little taller. She's kind of short. Which in my terms is like
tall, really.
5'5". 5'5" is pretty tall. But yeah, that was pretty cool. I liked how he totally ragged on like all of the DC heroes through all the series. He never had anything nice to say about any of them.
And that was, to me, was a strong point that he had. To me, that was most enjoyable and memorable.
Mm-hmm.
So,
definitely.
Yeah, give it a shot.
And I liked that his little friend came back at the very end. I won't totally spoil that, but that was kind of...
No. I'll just say that his friend comes back.
He had a lot of little friends, though. But it wasn't Eagly. Yeah, that's on HBO Max.
So anything else?
I started looking at videos. I found one. I thought, okay, let's see what this is. It was Don't Bring Me Down by ELO. And it seems that there is a group of dancers called Shuffle Girls. And it's the same film clip. Make no mistake that it is the same film clip. But they put on different songs. But it was fun to watch these young ladies dance to this music, because I thoroughly enjoy ELO for one. But to have them more or less interpret the song that they are dancing to is kind of fun. Between that and a new site I found called Jennifer Connelly 80, which is kind of similar, where they take music and scenes from one of her movies, then just keep playing the songs. One of them was for Hotspot. One was for Career Opportunities, one of my favorite movies. So for someone to step out there and this is a different group. This is not the girls. This is just music playing. Aha doing their one hit wonder.
Take on me. That one?
That's the one.
And we beat the DMCA. Nice.
That's old enough to be fair use now, right? And I wasn't even in key.
Don't hold your breath.
Try on your own time.
So that's essentially it for me.
Well, I'm like Mikey. Nothing on my end.
Nothing burger?
No, just nothing. Not even a burger.
Just a bun with nothing on it.
So, before we get into this week's discussion, do you want to point out that we do have a Discord that y'all are more than welcome to come join us. If you want to hang out with us when we're not listening to the podcast, Discord is free to sign up, and the app is free. It's on all the app stores. We do have an invite on our homepage, www.thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. Post a lot of news items, stuff for discussion, stuff to laugh at, videos, have some activities, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's been a blast. It's been going for a couple of years now. So, come join us if you like.
Yeah, us, live and in person, if you really think that's a good idea.
That's very scary.
Very.
Okay, for this week, we are going to be discussing what was the first limited series that was published by Marvel. It happened back in 1982. It's a big-ass crossover entitled Marvel Superheroes Contest of Champions. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and let's talk about this. What was your thoughts about this?
Well
said. Well, let me give a little background on the story. The story is actually a contest that it's actually between the Grandmaster and Death. And they use heroes from literally around the world to assemble their teams to grab these pieces. It was actually put together to be a globe called the Globe of Life, if I'm remembering correctly. So
you're correct. I liked it, and I don't know. I read the trade, so I don't know how many different issues or if each fight was a different issue. But some of them were okay. I think. See, this is going to sound snobbish. I can hear Mikey in the back of my head. Oh, you're just a Marvel snob. I'm not trying to be a Marvel snob.
Yeah,
but had it have been
Too late.
maybe more characters that I was invested in, I would have enjoyed it. I just didn't know a lot about some of the people they used. And then you get to the end, and it's like, what? You won, but you lost, but you can kill yourself so someone can live, or, it just kind of was like, what? We went through how many issues for that? I think they could have found a better ending. I really, really think they do. Although I did think it was funny that at the very beginning of this series, it's the X-Men training room. And Beast is, jumping around the room, and they're like, ha, catch me. And when they're taken from that moment. So at the end of all this fighting and stuff, the very end of the comic book, they put you right back into that training room like no time had passed. So that was kind of funny. I did like how they tied that back together. But like I said, the whole Grandmaster Death ending for me was kind of like lame. What? It could have, I don't know, more bang, I don't know, but it was just kind of, and I know he's deaf, and he's not supposed to have rules, but
She,
yes, but there's rules, you can't, just because you can kill everyone doesn't mean you get to change the rules. And then pulled out the technicality. I said you had the power to do that, not that you had to do that. And it was like, lame.
all right, you had the power to do it all along. Just click your heels together 3 times.
No place like home. So, yeah, like I said, I don't know. Has DC done something like this before? Sure they have. I'm just not recalling it right now.
I think an argument could be made that Crisis on Infinite Earths was not too dissimilar.
Okay.
I don't think that was before this.
No.
I think that was a year or two later.
Yeah.
Honestly, Secret Wars was a couple of years later also.
Mm-hmm.
Which was funny because I actually misread the date when I was reading this originally, and I was like, did this after Secret Wars? That's lame. And then I looked at the thing again. I was like, oh, no, wait, this was 82, not 87. This was a prequel, essentially, to Secret Wars. Made a lot more sense given that.
Maybe that's why this kind of stuck to me like I'd seen it before. Because remember, I read Secret Wars twice because I was accused of not reading it with unbiased eyes. Whatever. Yeah, whatever. I read it. I read what I read.
The Blob 2.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And no, I never consciously have ever picked DC over Marvel. They've just put more characters out that have been more drawn to, and that's the way it landed, is that I read more DC than Marvel.
Right, you're not consciously picking one over the other. You're just not picking one at all and reading the other all the time.
Yeah, it was kind of... Yeah. When I got into it, DC was more like fantasy superheroes than real-world superheroes like Marvel had, and I didn't really care for that, That's why people are always like, where did this take place? Who cares? If you tell me New York or Dallas or Denver, it's going to totally take so much away from the story for me. I'd rather it be
in a made-up
Gotham
place.
or, where I have where I can make my own world, not you tell me what it is, That's the fun in reading. Give me enough description where I can make that world myself. But when I talk to people who enjoy Marvel, that's why they enjoy Marvel, those, because it's more down to earth and everyday guy, and if he can do it, you can do it, and no.
I don't know. I'm thinking I can't bench press a cement truck.
Yeah.
So I there's still the distance. I mean, I'm not painting what you're saying or anything. I'm with
Right.
you. I understand.
But get bit by a spider, dude, and you could bench press a skyscraper,
I've been bit by spiders before, and I have yet to bench press a cement truck. I'm just saying.
A radioactive spider bites you, you're going to the hospital.
Yes, please. Help me.
Which, totally off topic, but Spider-Man. I didn't realize until I had watched No Way Home, when they brought all three Spider guys together. Toby was the only one who made his own spider webs. Like, in his body, made them. Mm-hmm. The other two guys had to make their webs, which I always thought, well, what the hell?
They went back and forth on that one with throughout the years.
I mean, I thought that was just one of the abilities. You get bit by a spider, you're going to start tossing webs like a spider. Not. So what makes them like a spider if they can't make their own webs? And crawl on the ceiling? So can Superman.
So now she's bashing Stan Lee. Ooh.
No.
Yes, you are.
No,
yes, you are.
And we're back we're also back to DC's better than Marvel while we're at it here.
Yes. No, that's right.
I had never thought about that until they brought that up in the movie, and it was kind of like, and that's not, I guess, I mean, I don't read Spider-Man, so maybe it's something that's played out in the comics too, but it just...
Well, and when you get multiverse stuff going on, you get multiple different backstories, and so you get some of both.
But that should be one thing that makes him a spider, right?
Not all spiders spin a web.
Yeah, but like 99.9% of them do. I mean,
Stan Lee
live in spider webs. So
she's hating on Stan Lee, Mike.
No,
can you believe that? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. He wrote the story, and you're.
I'm hating on the guys who made the movies. That's the guys I'm hating on, not Stan Lee.
And didn't you just a couple of minutes ago talked about using the source material? The source material, for a small period of time, it has always been mechanical. It's been web fluid that Peter created.
Right. That was how they passed him off as a quiet scientific genius.
Scientific geek, yeah.
Is that he made the
He made the web fluid, yeah.
He made it in a chemistry lab.
Yep.
Lame. He's a spider. He should make his webs.
Wow. Everybody just kind of stand back away from Liz because lightning's about to strike her down.
I think we're going to feel it through the headphones.
Well, I'll blame Ditko for that part of it, okay?
Wow.
Oh, yeah, that's going to make it even better.
Well, I mean, better than pissing the Stan Lee fans off.
No, Ditko fans are pretty hardcore, too. So.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just saying, a guy who's a spider should make his own webs. That's all I'm saying. So.
Well, if I remember correctly, when Jeff Goldblum became the Fly, did he fly?
No. I don't remember him growing wings, but whatever. Yep.
Fucking Cronenberg. What was he doing? Jeez.
He's just a bug.
Oh God, what was his name? The original in the original film, he didn't have wings either. He didn't fly.
Nope.
Well,
now the Fly did, that had the human head, but spoilers. for
I was just saying,
a 60-year-old
wasn't part of
movie.
his problem was he couldn't get it right? That was one of the things he couldn't get right. He couldn't fly, and he was a fly. So at that point, he was aground.
At that point, he was what?
He was aground.
He was aground?
He's aground. He can't fly.
Liz, just take the L.
Oh, come on.
Good night,
How likely is
everybody.
that?
All right, Mike, your opinion.
Well, hell, I certainly don't agree with Liz. I mean, I'm just saying, you know. I don't want to crash and burn like that.
Just
Jeez.
put Steph in that hole, like stuff.
I know what stance not to take now.
Back away.
Way down.
Beep, beep, beep.
That's right.
So, like I said, when I first read through it, I was like, man, this is just like because I got the dates wrong in my head, and I was like, this is a total ripoff of the two biggest crossover events ever, which was Secret Wars and Crisis on Infinite Earths. And then I kind of had to sit back and go, wait a minute, no, it wasn't. This actually kind of paved the way for Secret Wars, which actually raised it somewhat in my estimation. I liked it better thinking back on it after that. It made a little more sense. It seemed more like an honest effort. I will agree with Liz in that I thought it should have had more of a story, especially since the way the contest itself worked, there really wasn't any actual fighting that I noticed, or very little. I mean, you don't want to see the heroes beating the tar out of each other anyway, but
Right.
I mean, it was more of a race than a fight. It was a matter of who could find it first and touch it. I mean, which is fine. I mean, that's great and all, but yeah, I mean,
Gladiator type stuff.
Here's really the major problem with this book. It was almost a total rewrite, because originally the idea for this was supposed to be to celebrate the 1980 Summer Olympics.
Right.
I can see that.
Which we then ended up boycotting.
Right.
So
why did we boycott the Olympics?
Because it was 1980 and the Soviets had just invaded Afghanistan, and so we boycotted the Olympics to boycott the Soviets.
So
they turned around in '88 when it was in LA, and it was in Moscow. That was why.
Yeah.
And so in '88 when it was in LA, the Soviets boycotted the Olympics because they didn't want to come to the United States. But anyway,
I didn't know that.
And I think that's part of the problem.
Not 88, 84. Sorry.
Yeah, it's one of those 80s.
80s is crazy.
So I think that's a major part of the problem. Is they try to keep it to a degree a contest, but it may not. So it didn't work as well. So I think that's a major part of it. But that also explains why there's also heroes from around the world involved.
Including
Now
we had very little exposure to,
right?
If any.
Yeah. Some of them, I don't know if they appeared for the first time, but they may have been appearing in books in their country, but just not in America. That's a possibility. Because I mean, Captain Britain had his own book in England before we ever saw him.
Right.
That's before Britain was absorbed by Marvel. Wasn't he being produced prior to Marvel's acquisition?
Well, he was appearing in the weekly. I don't remember if it was Spider-Man Weekly or Hulk Weekly or something like that. He was appearing there. Now, whether that was material that had been created before if that was original material at that point, or if it came from something else, I don't know. But I know that his stuff was in one of the weekly books, Marvel weekly books, as kind of a backup tale.
Okay.
That much I know, but if there was anything, if that stuff was actually reprints from something else, I don't know. I don't think so, but I'm not gonna swear to it.
Okay.
Because he didn't appear in America until the Marvel. He did like a 2-issue stint in Marvel Team Up. That was his American debut. So. So what was your thoughts, Les? That good, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but to me this was just a money grab.
I didn't want to say that, but I agree.
I just feel like at the time Marvel did some really good series, like the event about Atuma, the character versus Namor,
mm-hmm.
and how it carried over into the various books. To me, this series was nothing more than them saying, we need to get out there and have all our characters front and center. And I don't care how we do it. Let's just do it. It's almost, to me, it was slapdash to put this together. I would have liked something a little more concrete, a little more organized. So, sorry, but I just wasn't that impressed with it.
Well, I think that goes back to them trying to salvage the project as originally it was intended to be something to celebrate the Olympics. And so, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I could see that as well.
Yeah, the story lacked stakes. I mean,
yeah.
I never got a sense of why I should give a shit when I was reading it.
Yeah.
It was okay. These powerful beings from wherever the hell just sort of came in and snatched heroes to do this dumb thing, and I couldn't manage to care why.
Mm-hmm.
Because they never gave me a reason to. So I don't know.
Yeah. I get you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it was cool. I mean, the art looked good.
It looked good, yeah.
I mean, and getting to meet these new characters, I actually liked meeting the new characters. That was fine. It's all a little ham-handed in the writing, but only a little.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things I like is a lot of the foreign characters I was not familiar with, so it was kind of cool to see them. And I don't know how much they've been used since then. Some have, some haven't. It's kind of sparingly, but I mean, it's okay. It's okay. I mean, I've read better events, and y'all talked about how long this was. This was only 3 issues, but then again, the way the story was rewritten or however, more could have been done. There could have been. You take an orb and you divide and force, and I mean there's only, so you're only talking about 4 contests.
Right. Which you could have cut it more ways than that, but
yeah.
But I mean, do you need to? I mean, and how much?
Well,
I mean, and if you're trying to retool this story that's been on a shelf for a couple of years already,
yeah.
I mean, how much effort are you really going to put in at that point?
Well, and you talk about there's really not much of a story now, and if with an orb of 4 pieces. Now, if they turn it into 8, I mean,
Right.
is
Does
that
really
going to make the
improve
story
it?
any better? Yeah.
Right.
Does that make so?
Yeah, I don't really think that was the flaw, but
Yeah.
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 that
But
was
still, I
an
mean,
arbitrary number was all that was. And if
Yeah.
they really wanted to be smart about it, they'd have done an odd number. Because what if it'd come back 2 and 2?
Well, that's the thing. It did come back 2 and 2. That's one of the things about this miniseries is the last contest they gave it to the Grandmaster, but it was actually Death's team that got the piece, and they actually acknowledge it down the road. There was a Avengers annual that came back and said, "Oh, there was a fuck up, and here it is. So y'all got to do this again, or we got to continue this."
Bit late for the guy who sacrificed himself at the end, but whatever.
Thanks, Dad.
But yeah, it it's something that you don't if you're just reading, you don't really catch it. But it was actually brought to my attention about a couple of years ago. Then I went back and read it. I was like, "Ooh, okay, yeah." How did you guys miss it? Miss that, So, what were you gonna say, Les?
No, I'm just agreeing with you.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. But I mean, it's Marvel's first limited series and a major crossover. So you could see, you talked about seeds of leading up to Secret Wars, and then just a few years later, you would have these events that went on during the summer that were in the main book's annuals. I mean, Bless just mentioned that with, I think he's talking about Atlantis Attacks. Is that what you're talking about?
I believe
or Atlantis
so.
Rising? It's one of those. But yeah, I mean, that was happening every summer. I remember that, which kind of sucked because that was also when X-Men were doing their big events books too. So it's like, and you remember that, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
But those came so popular that DC started doing it too. They started doing events in the annuals, the summer annuals.
Mm-hmm.
But was it DC's Invasion that they introduced new characters that had powers beyond those of a mortal man and all that? But to me, they were more interesting than what Marvel put out with this one. I was one that went looking for the DC titles, the spin-offs with the new characters. I hope I'm getting that right. Is Invasion?
Yeah, but I don't think Marvel intended anything beyond the 3 issues that they did in '82. It was just here's this event and that's it, and we're moving on, and nothing. They decided. I guess they decided not to try to use any of the other characters, the characters from 4 countries. Which, I mean, I guess that makes sense, because otherwise, you're going to have them living in America for it to even make it work, or have American heroes move to whatever country that character resides. So, I mean, I don't think there was any intention to spin anything off of this other than to possibly fix that error once it was pointed out. So I think it was just, hey, here's the story. let's go, and we'll go from there. I don't think they thought anything more about it.
You don't think there was any planning involved at all?
Well, I mean, we've kind of gone over the whole thing about the story, and then the fact that no one caught the error on who actually won the final contest. So yeah, I mean, that was. I don't think there was a. I think they felt
the whole thing felt rushed for sure.
Yeah.
Which is weird, given that it sat on a shelf for 2 years, like you said. But,
yeah. I don't know.
I mean, at that point, you'd think maybe, oh, well, hey, there's another Olympics coming up. We can just redo it for the '84 Olympics, which would not have worked because of basically the same problem. But
yeah, well, I don't know. It would actually be kind of interesting to hear the story of the people who were behind it and how it all came down and all that. See what the thought process was. And I don't know. I don't know if that would be an interesting story or not, but we do have questions.
Well, let's not let DC walk away from this.
Liz does.
Oh.
Ouch.
Not if Snyder wrote it.
I think everybody would walk away from anything Snyder, but
I disagree there.
I think he's still got 7 or 8 fans out there.
Yeah,
he's written some really good stuff.
He has some strong Kool-Aid.
So go ahead, Les.
I'm at a loss. DC, of course, did the Crisis series, which they started back in the 60s. The first Crisis book was in the 60s. Crisis on Earth 1 and Crisis on Earth 2. 2 issues of Justice League. So they didn't escape by any means. Yet, personally, I believe they did better than Marvel did on forwarding their story. I just have a problem accepting the idea that we're going to bring in new characters and you'll never see them again. To me, that was just poor-ass planning.
Seems like a waste, really.
I don't know if that was their intention, but, that's what definitely happened. But again, I go back to what I said just a couple of minutes ago. If you're going to make them a member of a team or somewhat regular in someone else's book, then you're talking about them having to, move to America or vice versa. And, you're not going to have heroes go move out, leave the U.S. because that's why. So,
we could build this huge satellite and launch it into orbit, and all the heroes could live and work there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, no, somebody already did that. Sorry.
As I said, that was kind of the premise of Injustice, wasn't it?
The Justice League has had satellite bases more than once, I believe.
Yeah. Let's say it was Superman's ideals. Send them all up to space to control them.
So, what else what were you thinking, Les?
Personally, I wish that both companies would have taken a little more time in setting up their worlds, but I do find it funny that now that different dimensions, different universes are coming up, but they were existing, 60 years ago? And I'm talking with the Crisis series, Doctor Strange, things like this. With Doctor Strange, they've been around all this time, yet nobody decided to even think about them until somebody said, hey, we got this, we can use it. Well, bravo, asshole.
Well,
it's about time you woke the hell up.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about this, all of a sudden this love and fascination for multiverses, I mean, that's, God, 99% of the viewing audiences don't read comics.
Yeah.
You know that, and it doesn't, and so this is all new to them. While the comics readers go, yeah, it's been there. Pick up a book. But they don't. We're not going to get into that again.
Yeah. But see, I've said before, that's why I'll enjoy the hell out of a Marvel movie. I don't know their backstory. I've never been invested in these guys, so I get what they show me. Although with the movies, I'd have to say if I started reading Marvel, it would definitely be Doctor Strange. He's fucking trippy, man. Just the visuals alone is worth the 2 hours, 3 hours his movies are.
Definitely start with the original stuff, the first stuff, especially with Ditko's art.
Yeah.
I'll have to do that.
And then, yeah, it definitely can get out there.
See, I like that trippy stuff. That's pretty cool.
When they first announced the Doctor Strange film, I was like, okay, how are they going to handle this? How are they going to do this? And then I saw the trailers, and I was like, okay,
they did it.
That's pretty, yeah.
I haven't seen the newest yet.
I haven't either.
But from what I heard, Sam Raimi nailed it.
Raimi's a Ditko fan. He's a
very visual person in his movies and stuff too, which is why it made it a perfect combo. Then,
I mean, that's when they first announced that Raimi was going to direct the film. I'm like, that makes sense because God, if you look what he did with the Spider-Man films.
Yeah,
you can tell he loves the universe. He loves the characters. There's stuff that he had to do to appease the studios. He had to appease Sony. But I don't hold that against him. I thought he did a great job.
He's done all these great movies and things, but he'll always, always, always be Joxer to me. Always.
Because if it wasn't for Sony, we would have had, if it wasn't for him stopping Sony, we would have had Venom in Spider-Man 2. And in my opinion, Spider-Man 2 is probably the best because of Doc Ock's story. Yeah. Not necessarily Peter's story. Peter's that, I don't want to get into that because Mike's going to go, yeah, he was whining the entire damn movie. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's true. He was.
So he did the first 3 Spider-Man movies?
Yes, he did Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3.
My Tobey?
Yeah, the Tobeys,
yep.
Yes.
Tobey's my favorite, and maybe that's why. And that's a lot of what I found out. A lot of the movies I found out he's related to. And then I'm like, now I'm going to have to search for the Bruce Campbell cameos.
Oh, yeah, they're there.
They are there.
The best 3 cameos ever.
And, of course, Ted's in there, too.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
I think him and like Adam Sandler, they always surround themselves by the same people, And I know people are like, oh, they should be, be a little bit more creative. I think that is to be able to use these people in different roles and,
Yeah, because they're not doing the same roles, and it's fun to look for them.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, if I ever started making movies, you bet your ass I'm going to ask you guys to be in it. You guys are my friends. Why not?
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
You can't afford me.
Mikey would be editing the whole damn thing.
Oh, God. No, he wouldn't.
Again,
I say, you can't afford me.
That went so far away from where I figured you were going. I figured you were going to say Jensen, and I was like, yeah, of course.
I will not be in a movie with Jensen.
There you go.
We would all be supporting to him, but,
Yeah, whatever.
I'd have my boys.
Support this.
I will not play second banana to Jensen. I don't care how much you pay me.
I heard, speaking of Jensen, that there are the talks with HBO to do like a Supernatural series. Oh my God. Could you imagine if they took the leash off? Because they've been on, network TV at this point, not even cable TV. Could you imagine if they took the leash off Supernatural? Wow.
See,
No, because I've never seen an episode.
Oh, don't tell me that.
Mikey, it seems weird to me, but it seems like about 30 minutes ago, someone was talking about a show only lasting for a couple of seasons. Otherwise, there's be issues and all that. But no, we're gonna have season 20 of.
Yes, give me season 1000. But see, that's
where every episode they jump the shark. Woohoo!
Well,
with the black leather jacket. Woohoo!
That was what they were known for, though. You knew it was going to happen, so it didn't come off jump the shark-ish, But with Supernatural...
They built the jump the shark into the whole concept? Is that what you're saying? How is that better?
Kind of. I think if you watch just the first 5 seasons of Supernatural, they had a basic...
Oh, is that all?
Yeah, just give it 5 seasons, Mike.
No,
after that,
it's a cool 100 episodes. It's all good.
See, after 5, they changed their writers up. So up to season 5, they had a basic monster TV show. That was the story. It was a monster. You had a little drama on the side, and it seemed like after season 5, you had the drama more forefront, and they happened to be going after monsters. So, but you still had it to where if ratings were dropping, okay, let's go back to a different monster.
A monster, right?
It was easy to change that storyline up because there was no nailed down. It has to be this because the basic premise is you're fighting monsters. It can be whatever the hell you want it to be, but there has to be a monster in it,
Monster a week with a little drama in it. Boy, that sounds familiar. Can't remember where that's come from.
People, you get trapped into it.
Smallville, doesn't it?
But
I was thinking Buffy, but Smallville works too.
Yeah, and Smallville, and that's why it lasted as long as it did, because they had that basic formula. You had a show going, where you had the soap opera is what I call it, of the show, but it was still a villainous show. So it moved along to where if maybe you missed a couple of weeks, you could always step back in because there was no big storyline you had to know to keep it going, And same with Supernatural, the corny jump the shark finales was able to, in comic terms, reboot and come back and start something different. Okay, we did that. Now what happens when we throw Pi and Apocalypse together? So they had the formula, but it wasn't a nailed down formula. These other TV shows, they get into that formula and it has to be this way. And usually it's the freaking drama they want you to get caught up in, and it winds up being stupid. Give me the villain. Give me the monster.
But it's continuity.
They lost me on Arrow. They stayed with that formula with flashback story, and it was like, I don't want none of that. It worked for the first season, and they should have dropped it and went to a villainous story or a series or something, you know. But you're still holding me back in season 1, and he's still on the island, and I'm over it. Let him drown. I mean,
for me, it worked after a while, but I was like, at some point they got to stop this because if there was like a 5-year gap between him being on the island and then him back, and then we're getting close to season 4. It's like these flashbacks need to stop.
Yes.
And then, the thing was, they always had the flashback tie into what's going on with the main storyline.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that can't. No,
you can't keep that up forever.
You can't do that. There's no way.
Rewriting what they did the first season, because when he came back from the island, he knew nothing. He had to learn how to fight. He had to build up his endurance. He built up his muscle. He got his list together, all of that stuff. Well, in these flashbacks that they started having in 3, 4, and 5, he's like this badass dude running around China. And you're like, what?
He wasn't. Yeah, next thing you know, all of a sudden he wasn't on the island anymore. He's off in the Middle East or something working for Weller. I know. I watched the show.
And it's like, what the hell? Where's the guy who didn't know shit when he got rescued? That's the guy that I wanted, not this operative and secret agent. Nah, that's bullshit. That's not why we got involved with it.
They had to shake it up, and that's how they did it. So I'm not saying that's the right thing, because obviously it wasn't.
It wasn't.
But
that's why people cheered when they finally killed him, because it was like, yes, no more flashbacks.
So.
I don't think I've ever seen this side of you before. You're ready to kill anybody and everybody.
Yeah, I'm changing my meds around this week.
Oh.
And they sent me decaf coffee.
Those bastards.
Why would you think that would be a suitable substitution
I don't
for
know,
coffee? I order things like Death by Coffee and twice caffeinated. Oh, yes. Let's send her a box of 84 K-Cups of decaf coffee. Yeah.
And Mikey, I think we got our title this week. They changed my meds.
One of many for this one, I think.
So, in summary, we're saying pass up on Contest of Champions.
And apparently Arrow as well, but,
And Supernatural.
Tangents and all.
I didn't want to just throw Marvel under the bus.
Go watch the first 5 seasons of Supernatural when you have a spare minute.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
My sister told me tonight she just started watching it, and I said, I am so jealous. And she's like, you can watch it too.
I am so sorry.
And I said, no, but you're watching it for the first time. I can never watch it again for the first time, So, and it's a different feeling, I know what happens. They screw him at the end. That's what happens.
Apparently, you just need to not watch the last season of Supernatural.
No, watch it all the way up to the very last episode. They should have ended the episode before. Don't watch the last episode. If you love The Boys, don't watch the last episode.
God, it sounds like... Are you talking about Supernatural or are you talking about Game of Thrones?
Supernatural. I have never seen Game of Thrones.
Everybody's talked about that last season being really bad, especially the final episode. So, I'm hearing... So, Anyway, Contest of Champions.
Contest of Champions.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that you have to read it just because it's a footprint,
It's kind of an interesting historical document, but as a comic goes, meh.
Meh.
Yeah.
Get it on digital.
Don't support your comic book stores.
Yeah, that's what she's saying. That's what she's saying.
I just fell back in that hole again, man.
You totally did.
I didn't mean it like that.
First it was Stan Lee, and now it's comic book shops.
Right.
Wow.
I got all these
Hey,
skeletons.
Liz, come on down.
Hello,
I don't think the meds are quite right yet, Liz.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess we're going to explain the whole episode is, Liz's meds.
So Liz was tasting her foot through the whole episode.
Which is kind of scary because this is her week to do the news, so we're really fucked.
It's gonna be a treat, folks. Hang on through the break. It'll be good.
So, like I said, so all you have to wait is just a little bit because we are taking a break and coming back with news. And we're back. It's time for Geek News for You. That's our segment we've been doing for the last couple of months, where we pick a couple of news items to bring it to the table for discussion. This week it is Liz and myself. And Liz, why don't you go first?
All right. Well, the last couple of times I've gone, I've given you guys Jensen updates, and that is not what this is.
What?
Right? But I had
we had our Jensen fill a few minutes ago.
So I've already got him out of my system. This is about one of my other guys, Tim Burton. They have finally released a trailer of what he plans on doing with his Wednesday show. From what I understand, they've already filmed everything. Now they've got Danny freaking Elfman coming in to kind of put his little pretty creepy little bow on it. So I'm excited for this one. At first, when I heard the casting, I'm still not sure if Luis Guzman can pull off a Gomez. I don't know. I'm on the fence on that one. But I do believe the girl he's got playing Wednesday, her name is Jenna Ortega. Absolutely beautiful. I like that he went with somebody who's completely not Christina Ricci. I mean, I love her. She'll always be my Wednesday because I grew up with that. But I like that he kind of went more of the I don't want to say not Disney-fied but I love Christina Ricci, but she's just kind of got that cute little Disney look to her, But I don't think Jenna's done a lot of work, so this will kind of be her. I'm wanting to say breaking role. If I'm wrong on that, I'll eat that one because I'm not sure. But like I said, the rest of the cast looks good. The trailer they gave us didn't really give us a lot of the story, but they have told us that in this series, Wednesday is developing like a psychic ability, which I don't know if that's ever happened, but so she's off at like a college, which I'm kind of taking it like a Professor X kind of college, with the gifted people, and she's with Thing. And she's kind of like solving a mystery kind of thing. So it sounds cute. I think they are only doing 8 episodes for this. From my understanding, this is strictly about Wednesday, hence the name of the show, Wednesday. And her parents, although they have been casted, I think will either be kind of a visit kind of thing, but they won't be predominant members of this show. Which, if I didn't say, Catherine Zeta-Jones is Morticia. So, like I said, I really like the casting. Victor, I don't know how to. Nope, I was wrong anyways. George Brucera is playing Lurch, and I hadn't heard that name before. So everything I've Googled on him, it's kind of like, okay, I can see that. He's kind of a tall, slender guy, kind of long in the face, so I can see that. Plus, it's Burton, so I'm going to like it regardless if it's crap or if it's a hit.
So much for giving it a fair shake. Jeez.
Right. But yeah, I mean, it looks good. Kind of like a mystery kind of thing. I'm not sure if I like her having psychic abilities, because did the Addams family ever have any kind of power, or
Power of Love.
Yeah. He was full of that. I mean, I guess when you have like I want to say creepy family, but you guys know what I mean with that. I guess there would be like fortune tellers and that kind of thing in the family line somewhere. So maybe it's not too far of a stretch.
I think you're overthinking it.
Yeah, I think I am too. I think they just kind of gave her this to put her in that environment, you know.
As long as she doesn't have a professor named Venkman, I think we'll be okay.
I don't think so. I didn't see him casted. But yeah, this is another one kind of like we was talking about the Pinocchio trailer. If you're trying to find out about the series, the trailer's not going to be any help. But if you want to see what Wednesday and Thing looks like, go watch the trailer. But at least they showed us what the main character was going to look like. So
Thing?
Yeah.
Wednesday, yeah.
I think I want to see the Thing show.
Mm-hmm.
Thing actually looks pretty cool. A little bit more oddly for a dead hand, you know.
Okay. Excuse me. For me, my news item is I saw this it may have been just today. That Vice TV will be releasing a new Icons Unearthed series July 12th. It's entitled Icons Unearthed Star Wars. And the reason why I bring this up is it's going to include the first ever televised on-film interview with Marcia Lucas, George Lucas's ex-wife, who also was the film editor for the original film. So supposedly she's going to be talking about the editing of that first film, because if you've not heard this, I know a lot of Star Wars fans do know this. The original editor came in and edited the film, and apparently was just horrible. So George brought Marcia in, and basically we got the film that is well known and loved. So she literally saved the film. So with this, they're gonna talk to her about the editing of the film, some of the story ideas, like whether or not Vader was going to be Luke's father, and in the plan, and whether or not there was intended to be 9 films. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of other stuff. So this sounds really interesting, and it's going to be interesting to hear her thoughts, because she's made some headlines recently, the last few years or so. She is very outspoken. Very outspoken about the other films. She's not a fan of the prequels. She thought it was horribly done, and she basically feels that Kathleen Kennedy and J.J. Abrams and all that was behind the sequel trilogies were totally clueless. So I would really be interested in getting her thoughts and opinions about all of this. Especially if she comes out and says about the original vision. Because I remember hearing, and I've never been able to find out anything in print, that the late Gary Kurtz, who helped produce the first 2 films, I don't think he was around. I don't think he was around to produce Return of the Jedi. Not that he wasn't alive, he just wasn't involved. That the intention was supposed to be 9 films. That Leia was never supposed to be Luke's sister. That we actually be introduced to Luke's sister in like episode 7, and that the Emperor would never really appear into episode 9. So that conflict would never happen until the end of the actual saga. So it would be interesting if she kind of backs that up. But the story changed so much. Not only before the first film, but even afterwards. So I'm definitely intrigued to see not only just in the series itself, but just her interview and hearing what she has to say.
Assuming they let her say anything, basically.
Well, we'll see. Yeah.
Mm.
Well, I mean, she's been outspoken enough to say, "Hey, my ex-husband's movies, those three that I wasn't involved with, yeah, they kind of suck."
There's no potential bias there at all. So
No.
Also, they kind of did, but that's beside the point.
So, but the series is also supposed to include interviews with Anthony Daniels, Billy D. Williams, Phil Tippett, Rick Baker, John Dykstra, and so many others. And it's actually going to be narrated by Michael Pennington, who played Moff Jared, the Death Star commander in Return of Jedi, the one who wanted more men to complete the building, and was told, "Yeah, that's not going to happen." So cool. Should be interesting. It's going to be on Vice TV, and I'm not even sure what Vice TV is. I'm sorry. So I'll have to look into that.
I'm glad you brought that up. This was something when I saw the notice, I thought this will be cool to see.
So, yeah, I'm very intrigued. It had not dawned on me that she's not done a televised or filmed interview, however you want to call it. She's never done one before. I know I've never seen her before, but that doesn't mean that it had not happened before. So that kind of surprises me. So she obviously stayed out of the lime. I don't want to say limelight, but that's pretty much what I was going to say.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
All righty. Any special shout-outs or mentions this week?
Not me.
No.
Nothing here.
Okay. All right. We'll go on to our regular shout-outs. First, we want to thank Pop Goes the Culture Podcast Network for allowing us to be part of a great group of fellow podcasts. Definitely check them out. There will be a link in our show notes. We also want you to check out the fine men and women who make up Potter and Family, who've been so kind as to retweet our links on Twitter. And the best way to do that is to go to Twitter and do a search, #Potter and Family. Just scroll through the list, and whatever catches your eye, please click on that link, download that episode, and I hope you have a good time listening to them. Also want to thank Maddie the Martyr for supplying the music to our podcast. In our show notes, we'll have a link where you can check out their music. Thank you guys as always. And finally, you, your listener, thank you for downloading and listening to today's episode. And we value your feedback. Any questions, comments, suggestions, complaints, observations, what else? Please send them our way. There are several ways you can do that. Our email address is email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net, or you can go to the website, go to the About Us page, and there is a contact form you can fill out. We do have a channel in our Discord that's specifically for feedback. You can post your input there. Social media, Facebook, we are the Fellowship of the Geeks. We are on Instagram @Fellowship Geeks, and obviously we are on Twitter at Fellowship Geeks is there as well. If you like to follow our personal Twitter accounts, Mike can be found at Mikey Geek. Liz can be found at LN_Geek, and that's where you can talk to her about Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. Les may or may not be found at Fake Les Webster, and I can be found at Tom TC Geek. And from wherever you download our episodes, if you would be so kind as to rate and review our show, it would be greatly appreciated. Anything else before we say goodbye?
Just thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Appreciate you listening, and join us on
Discord. Right?
Yep.
Sure.
Was that okay? Join us on Discord. Yes. Thank you, Les.
Join us.
Thank you for listening, everybody. We do appreciate the support as always. Until next time, geek on, my friends.
We thank you for listening to the show. Comments, suggestions, and questions can be sent to email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can follow us on Facebook at The Fellowship of the Geeks and on Twitter at Fellowship Geeks. Until next time,